What is going on, guys? It is DRob0112 coming back with another episode, and this time the Pistons have finally got their coach Monty Williams on a 6-year, $72 million deal. And if you don't know about him much, he was the Phoenix Suns head coach, with Devin Booker and Chris Paul, DeAndre Ayton. A couple years ago, not only did he go to the finals the year before this, but he also won Coach of the Year with that team. I think he has a really good resume to earn this contract. He is now the highest paid coach in the NBA. The Pistons just needed a guy that can come in and not be in rebuild mode, because we have all our pieces. Now it's time to just develop them into the players that they are. So we're going to talk today about exactly what Monty brings out of Detroit, how this is going to benefit. So yeah, I think this hire is going to be really good for us. So let's get started. So we signed him on a 6-year, $72 million deal. That is pretty much the best case scenario for us, because when hiring head coaches, this does not affect our salary cap at all. This is primarily the organization's money. So it is a fantastic hire, arguably the best coach still out there that was released. I don't understand why whenever NBA coaches, if they have the potential to go to the finals and they don't make it to the finals, they get fired, which is pretty insane to me, but also good for these up and coming teams, because all these good coaches, like once they're done with their rebuild, they can just keep on getting these really good coaches and then setting them up for success in the future. So I'm really excited for this hire. At first, Monty did turn down the Pistons' initial offer. I don't know how much the offer was, but the Pistons did offer him to be the head coach and he declined. So I'm excited for how this was going to work. The thing was, when he first declined the offer, I didn't really want him anymore, because I feel like in coaching, you have to be able to love the team that you're going to be coaching for to be successful. It didn't seem like he wanted to be in Detroit. So I think he was just like, they have a bright future, but I'm just not interested in going to Detroit. I want to see my other options. And then money talks. So they gave him the money. He ended up becoming the coach. So really excited for this up and coming season for many reasons. So Monty has the best situation possible for a really young and upcoming team. He has 3 really young core players that are basically all going into their second real years. And when I say that, I mean Cade, Ivy, and Duren. Duren and Ivy were rookies, so they're going into their second year. But Cade only played 12 games last year. I think it was 12 games. So you're basically getting a whole new superstar back. And then you can finally unleash the second year players to really help run the offense. They also have the 5th pick too. Monty's going to have pretty much the majority say in who we draft for that pick. He's probably going to bring the system that he ran in Phoenix to Detroit, but it's a whole new core. So I know he wants to draft the player that fits his system the most. And I really trust him and Troy Weaver to make the best decision at pick 5. So this is a fantastic situation for us, because I think Cade has superstar potential. He's going to trend in the direction of what SGA was like on the path. SGA got better every year, and you can see it in his game, especially with very patient guards in the NBA nowadays, like SGA and Cade, that don't need to force up threes to score. They can find their own bucket in the place that they're comfortable. Another thing, Monty's system did not have a point guard that had to shoot threes and stuff. Chris Paul is completely out of his prime, and he was not shooting up threes. All he did was pick and pop, get to the mid range, and then shoot the same step back mid range. It was a wash, rinse, repeat system for the longest. So the fact that Cade is more dynamic in his ability to get open at this point now than Chris Paul is now, I think Monty's going to have an exceptional time bringing out the best in him, because I really hope that he sees that Cade needs to be the guy. And of course, Ivy and Duren are going to be some of the most important factors too, but when it comes to who's going to be the superstar, Cade is ready for it. And you can mix it in with Ivy and Cade, so that way Ivy develops into the player that they want him to be by next year. Not this upcoming year, not 2023, but 2024. They can both be developed into something really special. The fact that he was running that system with a washed up Chris Paul and then Devin Booker in his prime, and we're going to talk about him later. I don't want to call DeAndre Ayton soft, but for this NBA, he is pretty soft. But he was making it work in that system, and they were getting pretty far. So with this core, if they develop, they're going to be extremely special in the future. Another point I want to bring up is that Monty runs a 0.5 offense. That's the system that he runs. And what that is once you have the ball in your hands, you have half a second to decide if you're going to pass the ball, shoot the ball, or start driving, so that way you can play make. And there's no sitting around waiting for something to happen. You have to make make your decision right away. And I think that's going to increase the IQ of our young guys, because it's going to force them to really learn like quickly what to do in these high pressure situations. With Monty's offense, he had the big guys in Phoenix moving really quick to go set screens because of that 0.5 offense. Duren's athleticism with his speed, and then he's only going to get better. You know, he was the youngest player in the draft last year, already is a unit. And he's only going to get better as the years go on. I cannot imagine what he's going to be like at 21 years old. He's only 19 right now. So I'm excited to see what Monty can bring out of him, because it's fresh legs that are actually really talented. It's just that the entire team as a whole needs to upgrade like ridiculously. As of right now, I don't know if we'll still have Bojan Bogdanovic on our team, but because I know that there's a rumor that he could possibly get traded for another first round pick in this upcoming draft, which I really want if it's a pick in the teens, so that we can possibly get Imani Bates that have a young core. But at the same time, I feel like Monty's going to want some veterans for this team. He's going to get frustrated if we don't have vets as the year goes on. So we'll see how that goes. But I think he'll be able to find a way to get Bojan more looks, and that's going to be major for us. Absolutely like lights out shooter, and only going to make this team better. So do I expect the Pistons to be close to a playing team? Absolutely. I think with this coaching, with a superstar player in Cade, with the starters, like if everybody stays healthy, please, this team is going to be special for this year. And hopefully we can trade for more ammo so that we can get something. But I like our salary cap situation. We have one of the best salary cap situations in the NBA. And I think that with that, if we don't get another pick for Bojan, I really hope we do, because like with his amount of money, if we trade him for another rookie, like say in the late lottery, that's going to save us a lot of money for this upcoming free agency class. We already have like what, 30-40 million, possibly more, depending on like the releases that we have and stuff like that. But I think in free agency, what would really help this team make it to the top this year is by using all that money, instead of getting like one or two like really good free agents for 20 million, like build your bench a lot more, because our bench is looking atrocious. I'm not going to lie. I think our top 5 bench players are Alec Burks, Isaiah Stewart, James Wiseman, Isaiah Livers, and Killian Hayes. The only ones I see worth keeping are James Wiseman, Isaiah Stewart. I like Isaiah Livers. I don't know if he's like able to crack the rotation consistently, but he is definitely good enough to stay on this team. He's going to be decent. But what I really want us to do is get another backup point guard and convert Killian to the G League. And it's not, well, it is a knock to Killian, but the thing is, it's more of a knock to the Pistons organization, because there was no reason that he shouldn't have been at least touching the G League, at least not touching the G League, because he was struggling all this time up here. And you see how people go to the G League. Like if you're really talented, you go to the G League, absolutely dominate against G League players, your confidence is going to shoot all the way up. And then like after like a couple weeks, you could come back to the NBA and you'll look a little bit more like focused and more poised. So I really want them to go after another backup point guard, just so that way they could do that. Maybe we can end up getting Gabriel Prochite. I think that's how you pronounce his last name, but he was our second round pick from last year that we drafted at pick 34, and he looked pretty decent overseas. And I want to see how he is, because he's a really tall point guard that is sneaky athletic and can shoot a little bit. So I'm interested to see what he could do against the second unit, or hopefully he could play in the summer league, and then we can really see if he's capable of making it. But I think we could find a cheap point guard that's a lot better than what Killian's producing, because he only produces like defense and playmaking, but when it comes to his scoring, he lacks so much on the scoring end that like it kind of cancels out what he's doing with the playmaking and defense. Like it's just absolutely unacceptable. Like it's atrocious, especially for a seventh overall pick. Like Killian and Saban Lee were in the same draft class, and I think when it comes to drafting 2 point guards, those were the 2 worst draft picks in NBA history when it comes to drafting 2 players of the same position, and one of them being a top pick that was projected to be like the second best point guard in the draft. So anyway, if we get a forward or 2 with the draft pick and in free agency, that will be ideal. And one of the best free agent pickups that we could possibly get for the Pistons is the Phoenix Sun man himself. Well, New Jersey Net, but I said New Jersey Net. How old am I? Brooklyn Net, Cam Johnson, the small forward. Now he's probably, I'd say, a top 3 player in this free agency class. I don't know how his relationship was with Monty, but from what I've seen, it doesn't look that bad. So I would, if the Pistons are willing to pay him, I can see them throwing a bag his way if they want to. And he has finals experience. I think Monty would honestly not be opposed to that. So we can see. But lastly, one of my favorite points about getting Monty Williams, imagine in 2 years when Devin Booker becomes a free agent and goes to his hometown team in Detroit. I would absolutely lose my mind if somehow we got Devin Booker back to Detroit. Well, of course not back to Detroit because he was never a Piston, but you know, Pistons fan, hometown guy, absolutely loves Detroit. He still reps every Detroit team when it comes to his fits. It's just that of course he can't wear the Pistons because he's not a part of the Pistons organization, and they passed up on him. So I probably wouldn't even blame him if he ended up wanting to like not be a fan of them once he got to the NBA, which it would make sense. But my only question mark would be if Ivy and Cade are succeeding that much and then you do a point guard, shooting guard like for them, because they were both the consensus best guards in the draft classes. So I really want to see how that duo goes, how that duo plays. But imagine if we could get Cade, Ivy at the 1 and 2, and then Devin Booker even running the small forward sometimes, because this defense of course is not the best, but it's definitely like not bad. It's pretty good, especially in the playoffs when he's like intense. I can only imagine if he's playing for his dream team. So that trio could end up bringing championships. Ivy, you know, when he got drafted, this was the place he wanted to go. He absolutely was a Detroit fan his entire life, of course, with all his family playing for the Lions and the Detroit Shock, Detroit Country Day, you know, all that. So I think Ivy would want to stay. Cade, I know his situation, like he wants to be here because they drafted him number 1 and he wants to be able to bring them to a championship. That's his ultimate goal. Like, you know, he's not from here, so I can see why people that are not from here would not want to stay here. But me personally, being in Detroit, I absolutely love it here. Like, this is home and it's pretty fun to be here. So let me know what y'all think about the Pistons getting Monty Williams, man. I am so excited for next season, seeing an unleashed Cade Cunningham. Like, Dwayne Casey's offense was nothing but pick and rolls. There wasn't really enough off-ball movement for real. Like, I'm just excited to see a change in scenery, a change in pace, you know. And I'm ready to see LCA actually filled with seats. But yeah, hey, Detroit coming up. Remember, I talked about how the 2020s were going to be the year of Detroit sports really on the rise, because 2019 we had the worst combined calendar year when it comes to wins and losses than any team in America ever. So the 2020s is our come up. You know, the Tigers are doing well, almost in second place. Almost in first place in the Central Division. People weren't expecting that. The Red Wings are trending in the right direction still. Hopefully they can improve forward, but really that's the only team. And then there will be a podcast coming out soon about the Lions free agency stuff, because I know it's pretty much over, but there's one specific player we got to talk about. So hey, let me know. But thank you all for listening. This is DRob0112. I'm out. Peace.